And we are live. I'd like to welcome everybody to Let's Talk Fishing video podcast. My name is Jay Angel, and I'm going to be your host for tonight. I have a very special guest tonight. With me, I have Hunter Baughman. Hunter Baughman fished the inaugural season of the National Professional Fishing League. And, that's exciting to be on the front end of things, guys. If you fish the inaugural season of the Bassmasters of BASS, you'd be awfully old by now. But it's fun to be on the front end. And without further ado, I just want to see what Hunter has to say. So Hunter, how is your season looking?
I'm excited for it. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me, Jay. And I'm excited for the season. It's going to be busy. We've got the NPFL, 6 events with that from late February through early November. We're going to throw in a Plains Toyota division, 3 tournaments there, and then a ABA Top 150 Southeast Division, 3 tournaments there, with hopefully a couple championships in there. So,
wow,
full house.
And you're from Central Arkansas, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
And you're going to fish a Southeast Division?
The ABA Top 150, it seemed like a really good trail, and they only have 2 divisions right now. They got Southeast and Southwest, and the Southwest is a little closer to home, but it didn't fit the schedule as well. We were going to have to miss 1 or 2 of those. So, my buddy Paul Browning that I travel with in the NPFL, we're going to just run together and do the Toyotas and the ABAs.
Okay. Yeah, I've had a few of the NPFL guys on, like Corey Null.
Oh, yeah, I know Corey.
Yeah, good guy. There's the guy who got hurt, too.
Ferrone, Zach,
yeah.
Yes, sir.
Another great guy, man. It must just be fun. One thing I've heard about the NPFL is y'all are a tight-knit group of guys. There's 150 of you, but
yeah, there's about 20 of us. But yeah, it man, and of course I don't know everybody, but it seems like everybody is that I've talked to, which is the majority, is just easy going for the most part, and it's just a bunch of good guys. Made a lot of friends last year.
And I've talked to a lot of guys who have fished, last year, and they said a couple of those events were really tough.
Man, they were. I'm trying to think which ones it was. So, Wisconsin, we went to,
Winnebago.
Yes, Winnebago. And there was a lot of fish, but keepers were really tough to come by at Winnebago. My travel partner, he finished 3rd, I think, in that one. He just kind of like stumbled on them in one day of practice and just stayed with one little area, and it had a lot of fish in it.
I got my butt kicked on Winnebago. I've been fishing all my life. I have like 3 sets of family who lives in Fond du Lac.
Oh, really?
Where Mercury Motors come from?
Yeah.
I have 3 sets of family. I've been fishing that lake my whole life. Both sides of my family are from Wisconsin.
Oh, okay.
The central Wisconsin, and some of them are centered around Winnebago. And
gotcha.
So, man, I won't have, I fished it for walleyes all my life. I went up there and tried to fish smallmouth. We caught some smallmouth in the river. Well, there's 2 rivers. We caught some smallmouth in the Wolf River, and we found a bay just north of Oshkosh that was just full of largemouths. We were sure that we caught a 4-pounder the second day at practice, and we were like,
wow.
We came in with a solid limit of 3.5 pounders. And got our butts handed to us because the guys went out into the main lake and they were floating over humps with tubes, just ticking the tops of those weeds and catching 5-pound smallmouths.
Yeah, it was one. No, I'm sorry, 2nd place. He spent all his time on Winnebago catching smallmouth. The 1st place guy, I think he did some. I think he did a little bit of everything, but man, I didn't. The biggest thing for me there was getting away from Winnebago because it was tough to get bit out there. I'd heard going into it that the size would be better if you got bit on the lake, but bites were hard to come by. So we went to up the Wolf and into the other lakes, Winneconne, and there's a couple more. Boygan, that's right. That's right. Yes. Been so many places last year, I don't remember the names of half of them, but yes.
You got to remember like 5 different names when you're talking a Winnebago system.
I know, and none of them are easy, normal names.
No. They're like French names, the kind of names you get down here in southern Louisiana.
Yes.
Southern Louisiana, yeah. But that's exciting. You guys, you fish such a diverse, man. Anything you want to do in Winnebago, you can do it and catch fish.
You really can.
But when you went over to Texas, and I heard so much about that tournament, the guys were catching stuff on crankbaits, but you had to sift through dozens of white bass to catch a largemouth.
Yeah, that Patman tournament, it was special. It's only like 2.5 hours from my house, but I guess 3 hours. But I'd never been there. But man, it's got them. It's got a lot of them.
That's right, Patman.
Yes.
How did you catch fish there, Hunter?
The first day I flipped, and I had 14 something with a 5-pounder, and thought I was okay. Weighed in, I was in like 70th. On day 2, I picked up a swim jig, and I had almost 18, and I moved up to like in the 40s. And then the last day, it was a post-frontal day, and the swim jig bite died. I think I had 1 on it, ended up flipping again, and then I had 12, I think, 11 and a half, 12, and fell into the 50s. But I averaged 14 and a half a day. I've never averaged 14 and a half a day in my life. That didn't cut a check.
That's a lot of fish. That sounds like what I brought in at that Winnebago tournament I told you about, and I thought, hey, I'm going to be great. Look at this. And my partner was all excited because he hadn't fished tournaments like I had. And he's like, yeah, man, you think we're going to have a check? I'm like, you never know.
Right.
I'm not a superstitious kind of guy, but I get superstitious when I'm sitting there and I haven't seen anybody the whole day. One other tournament boat came into our they saw us and turned around and left. And like, boy, they must, there's a whole big rivalry between Illinois and Wisconsin guys.
Right.
Yeah, they must just not like Illinois people.
Oh, yeah.
But right, Patman, what kind of structure were you flipping?
It was a bunch of just wood, just kind of buckbrush, kind of willow. I mean, there was buckbrush, willow trees, just a little bit of everything. The lake had actually been high and it was coming down. It was just perfect. They pulled them all out of the woods, and they were in the first 15 feet of the flooded timber. There is all that was left before they got out of the lake. And it just, man, any kind of wood you could ever imagine flipping. And with like when I was throwing the swim jig, it was on that stuff that was out, like just to lay down off the bank a little deeper, something of that nature. And the biggest deal I figured out was the horizontal, like the horizontal wood. You'd have 5 million, pieces of wood to flip at. Then you'd have one, even if you didn't see it, you could feel it on bottom. You'd drag over, and it'd be like a log, something horizontal underneath the water, and that's where you get bit most of the time.
Didn't they have a lot of riprap shorelines there too?
No, not many.
Not many.
We had the dam, and then right around the boat ramp was the only 2 that I saw that was riprap. And I'm a riprap guy, and I fished it hard. I never caught a fish on any of it. So,
man, I'm a riprap guy too. One thing I've noticed is if it goes down into about 15 to 25 feet of water at a 45-degree angle, man, go out in. Of course, now I'm talking about the days before they had side view.
Right.
When you had to do this.
Right.
See what's there, and man, if you do find him on there, I mean, look what happened to Hank Cherry. He won the damn Bassmaster Classic fishing that at Guntersville.
Yeah, so did Randy Howe at Guntersville. He won the Classic. Doing the same type stuff, So
it just depends on the lake you're fishing, I guess. And the right Patman just sounds like it was just jam packed full of structure.
Yes, absolutely.
But the problem with that is kind of like fishing in Florida. I mean, where do you start? Where do you go? It's
I know.
Good, just kind of like fishing where I live, in southern Louisiana. I fish in the swamp. Man, there should be bass on every one of those cypress trees, but there's not.
Right. They all look the same, but they're not all equal.
No, they're not all equal. And what's the difference? I haven't figured that out yet. So I'm still at the point of I cast them all.
Right.
Right. And spray and pray, like they say in the military.
That's right.
Spray and pray. Spray and pray. Hope I hit something. I asked the guy, my dad lived on the Harris chain for like 4 wonderful years where he saw me. Probably that's the most he saw me in my adult life.
Hey, I like the Harris chain a lot, man. And we were there. Yeah. Actually, I don't know if you saw it on Facebook. I flew out. I fished 2 hours the first day. My wife went into labor, and I got on a plane and flew home. she
I
had
did
the
see that.
baby and got on a plane and flew back and fished the last day. But it was I wish I'd have been able to fish all 3 days of that. It was I think it would have been a good tournament. I really, really liked the Harris chain. It fished the way I like to fish.
Yeah, but you can fish a tournament anytime. Your wife having your first kid.
Absolutely.
That
Wouldn't have had it any other way.
only happens once.
That's right.
And then when she has your second kid, it only happens once.
That's right. That's
So,
right. Definitely the way it needed to happen. I just want to redo. I want to be able to go back one day.
A redo. There's so many things I like to redo. If I could have a redo, man, I'd be living in a bigger house.
Yeah, I hear you.
I'd be driving a 21-foot Phoenix with a 450 with no less than 7 electronic units.
Oh.
And I really don't care who thinks that's excessive.
Right.
Whoa, that was fun. That was fun, man.
Yes, sir.
Man, so you fished let's talk about the fishing on the Harris chain.
Okay.
I fished that extensively for 4 years. I'd go there to my dad's house for a week at a time and do nothing but fish. Mom rarely saw me.
Yeah.
But one thing I would do is, my dad lived right on Griffin Lake, so I spent most of my time on Griffin.
Okay.
Well, nobody lives right on Griffin Lake. He lived on one of the canals on Griffin Lake.
Right.
We'd start out in the canals. We'd move out, and where I found most of the good fish, I never caught one more than 5 pounds there, but it was on isolated weed clumps.
Right.
And I throw everything. Go ahead.
For us, it was kind of weird because it was the week after Memorial Day, so what is it, first week of June, last week of May, that time frame. And I was really concerned being in Florida that late in the year that it would be hot and it'd be tough.
It can be.
And once you kind of figured out the right canals, man, I caught a lot of fish in the canals on a chatterbait. And then you could go around to the whatever they call that, the grass that's everywhere, and flip and get bit. And Paul and I, we pretty much split up everything when we practice for these things, and we share everything with each other. And he kind of did the flipping deal, and I was looking at canals with chatterbait and looking at just different stuff. And he said, there's a really good flipping bite in the grass. We need to look at it. So the last day of practice, I tied on flipping rig, and I pulled up, and I went like 5 flips, and I caught it at 7:30. And I thought, oh. So I just put my stuff back up on that and then waited till tournament day. And I caught the couple hours I was there first day, and then on day 3 when I got back, I caught a lot of fish flipping, but I never had a good bite. But I had I didn't get to go to the canals till day 3, and I had a 5, and I lost 8 at the boat, and I had another 3. So, I mean, I don't remember, 14, I think, on day 3, but I had the opportunity to have over 20 with the one I lost. So it was definitely, there was the one day I figured out canals in practice, I ran them around and, like catch a fish and go several miles to a different canal and catch a fish. And I had like 22 pounds in 2 hours. But
that's one thing about the Harris chain. Not all canals are made
the
same.
No, and I hope I think I figured out something that, kind of figure out what canals to look at, but I don't know. I'll have to go back before I know for sure if I figured it out.
Because I didn't figure it out, man, because I'd go there one year and just, come back three months later, the canals are all different now. Well,
yes.
Sometimes that the water lilies would choke a canal. You can't get your boat in there. Sometimes they seem like they were deeper than others. It just, you go in the same canal, go to the same spot. Of course, that's what we do, isn't it?
Right, absolutely.
Last year, the same week I caught fish here last year, go there and I can't get touched. I mean, I didn't even get, a tilapia in there this time.
Really?
But yeah, last year I caught 6 of them throwing a lipless crankbait.
They're definitely, man, I went in so many canals and I had 1, 2, 3 that I could catch fish in. Now those, I was catching good fish when I get bit. But, man, I fished 40 or 50 in practice to get bit in 3,
I can tell you there was a guy who was friends with my dad. My dad was a crappie fisherman. He wasn't much into bass fishing.
Right.
He said it was just too boring. But anyways, so I fished with his friend a lot, and his friend would, every time he caught a fish over 6 pounds, he'd bring it back to his canal. And he says he had never caught one fish in that canal, in his own canal, which is the same canal my dad lived on. He said he never caught one fish in that canal that he thinks he stocked there. He thinks those fish just go straight out and say, the heck with you. You are not going to put me somewhere else.
Back to where they came from.
Yeah. Yeah. And man, he was a shiner fisherman too. And he'd throw shiners in there. He'd throw grass shrimp in there.
Really?
My dad would stock it with crappies. They thought they were going to have their own little fishing, nirvana there. And it just didn't work out that way. The fish just did not cooperate.
Sometimes they don't read the book.
So where else did you go last year for the NPFL?
So we started at Eufaula. I had a good tournament there. And we went to Patman, and then we went to, where did we go after Patman? We went to Pickwick.
Nice.
And then Winnebago. I guess it was Patman, Florida, Pickwick, Winnebago. And then we ended at Grand last October. It was a really tough tournament.
Pickwick, there's a fun lake. You got to love those Tennessee lakes with ledge. There's so many different things you can do.
Man, we were there in July, and I was able to catch a lot of fish on the bank, and that's
really
do that. Yeah, I mean, not winning quality fish, but that Tennessee River is a place you can go catch them shallow or deep year round.
So many different things you can do. So many different things.
I
you were bank beating, man. What?
Man, I actually pre-practiced. That one's about 4 hours from the house. And I found some shallow fish, some dock fish, and then some riprap fish, some run-ins, stuff like that. And I kind of had it as backup. I thought those fish would stay there through the summer. And then I went back, and I thought I'd check a dock, and I caught a 6 off the first dock I fished first day of practice. So I just idled. For 3 days after that, I did nothing but idle ledges. Every once in a while, I'd see something I think was good, and I'd spin around and throw. I caught a few fish out there, nothing to speak of. Like a 4-pounder was the best one I caught on ledges. And during the tournament, I never caught a fish on ledges. I'd stop on them and I'd make 10 minutes worth of throws there and not get bit and leave. And I kind of had a little milk run that, had a few fish up, like I said, on some run-ins. And I had a stretch of docks that I was sharing with a couple other boats. One boat, I know he had like 17 pounds off of them last day, but there was some fish around them.
That's interesting. So what kind of presentations were you throwing?
I was throwing a 5/16 jig, Rosalo Lures jig. It's the only thing I get bit on. It's kind of my bread and butter. It's what I'm most confident with. Little green pumpkin jig with a speed crawl trailer. And it's my confidence bait. I made a check at Eufaula on it. I did not make a check at Pickwick, but I was within 2 or 3 places. It was all on that jig. I threw a crankbait and I never really got bit. I might have caught 1 or 2 on it. I threw topwater a little bit, 1 or 2. I picked up the jig and it was just more consistent. On the run-ins, I was dragging it. On the docks, I was swimming it down the edges of the floats. And then even on the ledges and stuff, I would throw it out, and let it drag down the ledges.
Okay, we have a question here from one of our viewers is Cajun Rob Welsh. It's from Cajun Rob Fishing.
Okay.
He said, "Hey Hunter, what is your go-to technique and setup?" He said also tight lines this season.
Oh, thank you very much. Like we said, the go-to bait for me is that little 5/16 jig. I throw it on a Denali 7.3 covert, medium heavy. I use a Daiwa Tatula SV 8-to-1 ratio with 17-pound fluoro.
Okay. Do you when you're fishing in a place that's a little more off color, do you still go with the fluoro?
Yes. Still go with the fluoro. And I'm hard-headed. I pretty much go with the same little green pumpkin jig for mud, the gin clear water.
I couldn't think of a better thing to be your go-to. A better color, man,
Yes. It's
green pumpkin jig, man. There's been so, I like the green pumpkin wacky rigs, wacky worms, I just plain catch fish on it, just like you with your jig, 5/16 ounce jig. That's so versatile. It's not too heavy, not too light.
And it can be, I mean, I've got swim jigs and all that good stuff, but it can be swam or hopped or drug or whatever needs to be done, with that light of a jig and flipped a little bit. It doesn't do real good flipping, obviously, but color wise, to me, green pumpkin, watermelon, black and blue, and white. I mean,
And
nobody
white,
needs anything but a variety of those 4 colors on anything you throw ever, in my opinion.
oh, I like white too. That was just so different than all the rest of the colors you were talking about.
Yes. Yeah, well, that time of that May time frame, and then in the fall, white's always a good thing to have. But
Nowadays, in the early season, I'm starting to fish red.
yes. Red
I
has its place for sure.
I hate to tell you, I've jumped on the bandwagon, man.
I did catch some on fire crawl chatterbait last year. After everybody was talking about it, I threw it at Eufaula and had some fish and some tournaments around here locally. I won a couple of them on it.
Yep, I drank the Kool-Aid just like you.
Yep, I bought some more last week too. So
can't help it, man.
no,
it catches fish this time of the year.
Yes, for sure.
One thing I have gone to down here, since the water is so off-colored most of the time, and there's just so many snags, I've gone to just tying direct to braid when I'm jigging.
Gotcha.
When I'm jigging through the cypress knees, and
right.
I just don't want to be unless I'm wacky rigging and I want that thing to just barely go, and if I want it to sink really slowly, then I go with mono.
Right.
It just sinks so slowly, and sometimes that's frustrating to me. But when when you want a wacky rig to just go
right,
yeah. If you know the fish are there and they're just in a negative mood, you want something to just sit there in their face.
Yes,
but
sure.
That's interesting. The 5/16 ounce jig, that is cool. I'm gonna have to go out and buy some more of them.
RosalloCustomLures.com.
Rosallo.
Yes, I actually made a post on my social media today where I was throwing it a little bit last year, but I've thrown their buzzbait, spinnerbaits for a while. Now I'm all in throwing their jigs this year, and we're working on a new line of finesse jigs in that 5/16 size. So got some pretty cool colors we've got made up. We just don't have those public yet.
So you like let me see if I can grab this. Oh, I got a mess over here. Last time I went fishing, I was tired and I came home and just kind of put the rods everywhere. So you like Daiwa, don't you?
Yes, absolutely.
But you have a few of these.
Oh yeah, the Tatulas, got a bunch of those.
Look at that. That's a beautiful reel right there.
Picked up 3 more last week. Oh, I wouldn't got too much stuff last week.
That's a Tatula. That's what you use, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Now, what specific model of Tatula do you use?
I actually got 15 SVs, and then they were out of SVs when I tried to get some the other day, and I got one Elite, which is just it's a step up, and I hadn't even got to use it yet.
That's what's hard about now this COVID world. A lot of stuff, a lot of companies are having a hard time getting product out. I'm all too happy to buy them.
Right.
So what do you like specifically about the Daiwa reels?
Man, they're smooth. They're good. I'm hard on everything I've got, and I have no issues. That's my biggest deal. I mean, they do what they need to do when they need to do it, and if I have something that does that for me, that's all I need.
We have Rick Rengendurfer. He's another NPFL pro.
He is.
He was on about 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
So shout out to Rick. How you doing tonight, Rick? Good to see you.
What's up, Rick?
We got one of your bros here. I do like that. Let me ask you this: when you're crankbaiting, I know that you're more of a jig fisherman than a crankbaiter, but guys at your level have to know how to do it all.
Right.
Do you like to use the slower reels, like the 6 to 1? Yes. I think it's probably a 6.2 to 1, but I mean, I could be incorrect.
Yes, I think it's 6'3", but yeah, that's basically if I'm flipping topwater, dragging, it's an 8 that I throw, and then anything I'm cranking, spinner baits, crankbaits, anything like that, I go with a 6. I just kind of
Chatterbaits
skipped
too?
that 7 all over.
Yeah. So chatterbaits too. You like the slower reels?
Yes, yes.
Okay. I'm about ready to, with everything that happened last year, it's gonna. If I ever compete again, it's certainly not gonna be this year. I'm
Right,
in that kind of shape,
right.
You got to be in good shape. That's what I tell people when they tell me they want to start competing. Is, well, get yourself to the gym. I'm not saying that you look like you're not in shape, but
Man, I was having a discussion the other day with somebody that I fished one day. I'm a big hunter, so I don't fish in the winter hardly at all. I fished in October, and then I hadn't fished again the last week, and I went one day for about 4 hours, and my back was hurting the next day, and I hadn't even put a full day in yet. I'm gonna go tomorrow and put a full hard day in, and that may be the last day I fish before we leave for Cumberland in a couple of weeks. But that the first and this Cumberland deal, we go Cumberland and Lake of the Ozarks, and you follow with the Toyotas and the ABA. But I'm sure I'll be exhausted and sore by the time I get home.
oh yeah, because I don't think people understand. A lot of people tell me, how, like when I was actively competing, I tell them that's how I stay trim and I can eat pizza every day, and they're like, "How hard can fishing be?" And I tell them, "Come out with me. I'll meet you at 5:30. We'll be waiting for the lake to open, and we're going to be one of the first people on the lake, and we are not leaving until it's time for lunch, and then we're going to be right back out on the lake."
Right. That's exactly.
And and I'm not even tournament fishing then,
Right.
But we're going to be casting the entire day. You're going to be standing up. You will not sit down. There's no time for anything. You can take. I take a little time out to rehydrate myself because I noticed about 32 that I was starting to get headaches because I wouldn't drink all day long.
Yes,
Or eat and wonder why I have a headache by the end of the day when baking in the sun.
man, that's something I've really tried. Arkansas gets pretty hot.
It sure does.
And try to remember, and really to keep from getting dehydrated, you really need to start drinking stuff about a day and a half ahead of time, or you're just wasting your time.
And the whole way on there, don't be drinking water. No, I got that wrong. Don't be drinking coffee or soda like I like to drink.
Or tea.
That water.
Yes.
That water. Drink the water the whole way to the lake. And yes, you're going to have to relieve yourself, and everybody does it.
That's right.
The guy's like, Oh, Rick wants to know what your go-to snack on the water is.
Munchies crackers. Nacho cheese.
Nacho cheese?
Yep. Munchies crackers. Best crackers made.
The real guy to ask about snacks on the water is Mo Collins.
Oh, yeah?
Are you familiar with him?
I know the name.
He's a character, man. He's a character, but he has every snack imaginable. I think he brings I think he brings a tackle box just for water. No, not water. Snacks. It's funny.
Hey, you gotta slip in some Uncrustable peanut butter and jelly sandwiches from Walmart from time to time too.
Yes, I used to bring string cheese, being from Wisconsin, and Polish sausages.
Oh yeah. Hey, I can eat. I can figure out the snacks. I may not catch any fish. We'll eat.
We'll eat. Yeah. So the NPFL, for people who don't know, is that a pro-am?
No, that is pro only.
Pro only. So you have a Marshall in your boat then?
No, we don't have even a Marshall. We have GoPros. We're all required to run a GoPro.
So do they provide your GoPro? Do you have your own?
No, we provide our own.
Okay. So then they have to be tuned into your GoPro?
No, what it is, if there's any questions, we have to be able to provide them with the footage during the tournament.
Okay.
If there's anything that's questionable, we have to be able to provide them with our footage. So then after the tournament's over, we can delete it or use it and make whatever we want to do with it after that.
Okay. So they have a certain amount of time to ask you to provide this information to them?
Yes, I believe it's by the end of the close of scales, the last day of the tournament.
Interesting.
I'd have to brush up on the rules, but I believe that's when it is. I normally hang on to all my stuff and try to make a little, TikTok and different little videos with it.
Yep. That's interesting. I'll watch that. There's head-to-head fishing up in Wisconsin.
Right.
I sat there all day long, a couple of days, and just watch that. Particularly during COVID, man, there's nothing else to do.
I know, man. And I'm trying, with social media, it's such a big deal in the fishing industry. But the 40-minute videos like on YouTube, everybody's doing it. And I feel like, throwing out those little 30-second to 2-minute videos, I feel like that may be where it's going. And I'm trying to do the shorter videos, keep attention spans where they'll watch them and stuff.
Sure. I hear you, man. I hear you. I'm trying to find my niche too. Where do I fit in with all this?
It's a whole new world with social media, especially since the COVID world.
Where do I fit in? Hey, man, I appreciate you coming on the show, and I'd like to ask you, do you have any shout outs?
Man, shout out. I want to tell y'all, I'll make it quick. I've got a new title sponsor this year. It's actually a job as well. I'm the director of sales for Redemption Ranch. And what we do, we provide jobs for disabled individuals. As you know,
Sure.
You can't see it on this screen, but as you know, I'm in a wheelchair. I'm disabled. So it's really cool. It's close to my heart. It's a nonprofit organization. And what we do to provide the jobs is we take and recycle wood, and they split it into kindling and bag it. And my job is to sell the bags. They look like this right here. See if we can get this on the screen. Maybe everything's backwards, so it's just little. Man, this thing, it's like I'm not running up.
I can tell that looks like the size of a smaller bag of charcoal.
Yeah, it's about 10 pounds.
Sure,
8 to 10 pounds. So that's, that just making bags at one location, Texarkana, where it's based out of, that gives about 8 to 10, 12 jobs to disabled individuals. As we grow from there, every time we start a new resource center, bagging kindling, there'll be another roughly 10 jobs we can provide to somebody. It's a really cool organization. And that's what y'all will see on my truck and boat this year. And that's what I'm going to do when I'm not fishing, is try to get some bags of kindling in different places.
And that's what this redemptionfire.com is.
Yes, and that's what the website is. That is correct.
Okay, guys, the Redemption Fire, go ahead and check that out. That's what my crawler was this evening. Sounds like a very, very worthwhile organization that Hunter has become involved in. Congratulations, man.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
That is a big thing, when guys are reaching out like that. When guys are thinking outside the box and getting sponsors that aren't in the industry, that's a good thing, I think.
Absolutely. And it's, I've worked with another nonprofit in the past for about 7 years that provided hunting, fishing opportunities for folks that are disabled. It's just something that's close to my heart. I kind of figured out I'm going to go hunt or I'm going to go fish and figure out how to do it on my own, but not everybody can. I've had jobs, fish as a job, but this is providing jobs, and it's awesome, and it's something that's definitely near and dear to my heart.
And we have another comment from Rick. He said, "Great show, guys. Hunter, see you in 2 weeks." He said, "Bring warm clothes."
Rick, I need your warm boots when I get there.
Oh, man. You got a sense of humor. That's funny. That's funny. Do you have any other shout-outs you'd like to do?
Man, Red River Auto Group, Lazy Man Stands, Horizon Track Marine, Blazer Boats, Mercury Motors. I could go on and on. Brazalo Custom Lures. Those guys, they know who they are, and I appreciate each and every one of them. I won't bore everybody with them. Daiwa, Denali Rods, absolutely.
Daiwa, man. That's Daiwa Reels, guys. Check them out. Well, anyways, man, Hunter, thank you so much. It was truly an honor having you on the Let's Talk Fishing video podcast.
Hey, thank you very much, Mr. J. I appreciate it. Honored to be here.
I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in to the Let's Talk Fishing podcast. Again, my name is Jay Angel. I was your host with very special guest and NPFL pro, Hunter Baughman.